what I want to talk about right now is developing your sales skills, communication skills, being a good salesperson, all right? And what you have to understand is where sales will help you, why you want to learn this craft, all right? The great thing about Cutco, guys, is you sell a product that is better than anything else. See, like if you were working for Lexus or Mercedes or BMW, see, there's two things you got to sell to someone. First, you got to sell them on your product, that your product is good. The second thing you got to sell them on is the price, okay, and the money, okay? So, now, here's the thing. If you were selling Mercedes, well, not only do you have to be able to learn Mercedes, but there are comparable things. You have to compare Mercedes to Bentleys to, not Bentleys, Mercedes to BMWs to Lexuses and all that kind of stuff. But with Cutco, we just destroy everything. Like, there's no one that's going to get to the end of your demo. I don't care, how staunch they are, and it's just going to be like, well, Cutco is no good. Okay, like, they're always going to be sold on it. It's like trying to sell someone on a Lamborghini. No one gets out of a Lamborghini and goes, I don't know, it's not that good. All right, so you have the product already taken care of. It's easy. Now, here's the thing, though. When you're trying to sell a Lamborghini, you have to now talk about price, okay? And you have to build up a lot of value to get there. And you can't really drop down too much. I mean, you could take some of the features out, but that's it, okay? If you're selling BMWs, you start off at 80,000. The lowest you can go is 35, 40 for a base model, okay? With just the very factory standards. With Cutco, you could start off at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and you can also go down to $50. You can do Miss Jones, you can do a trimmer on a 2-payment plan, okay? And it's $25 a month. That's $5 a week, all right? So you can always find something they can afford. That's one of the great things about selling Cutco is that, I love the fact that my mom has Cutco. I love the fact that I sold my parents and my family and my friends that I sold Cutco to have the best in the world of something, okay? They can't have, my mom can't afford the best home. She can't afford the best, car. She can't afford the best clothing, $5,000 dresses or $10,000 dresses, but she can afford the best knives, and she uses them every single day in her kitchen. She loves them, and I sold it to her, and I felt great about that. It's something that she has and she uses every day, and she doesn't complain about it. The only time she complains, she's like, I still cut myself, 13 years later. Okay, so that's something that I feel good about, and you should feel good about. But the main thing you want to learn is learn your craft, learn to sell, all right? Learn how to communicate, because that's all communication skills are sales skills, all right? Everybody is a salesperson, all right? If you're watching this video right now, you might be a college student, you might not be, but if you're going to run your own business, if you're going to become a doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, any of these things, you have to learn how to sell, all right? I have a friend who's a geneticist, and she has to bring her research, and she has to write grants. She has to get grants and stuff to continue her research, as far as that goes. They have to learn how to sell. We were, people go on exhibitions, like some people, they want to go and climb Mount Everest, right? Well, what do they have to do? They have to raise money. They have to raise money for the equipment. They have to go on all these tours, and they have to go to companies and say, hey, sponsor us. We're going to do this. If you're a doctor, imagine what a doctor does, okay? Like a doctor, you go into the doctor, you say, look, I'm sick, all right? So I don't feel good. So what do? They take a bunch of scans of you, and then they take this x-ray, and they put on a light, okay? And they say, that's you, all right? And you don't know what this is. You don't know what the x-ray is. You just look at it and you go, okay, well, you're a doctor. That's me, all right? And they say, you see all this stuff here? That's good. And you're like, oh, good. But you see this little line there? That's bad, okay? And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to knock you out, we're going to have to cut you open, and we're going to have to take that out of you, okay? And, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you $86,000 to do this, okay? And people say, sure, okay, we'll do it today, all right? Like, that's a sale, okay? Could you imagine if your doctor came in and was like, not dressed properly, okay, was dressed in like flip-flops, right, and didn't look good, or had the hair disheveled, and was like, dude, we look at your x-rays, it's all screwed up. I mean, it's all screwed up. We're going to have to operate. We're going to have to do some operations. You'd be like, no way, all right? So you'd want a second opinion, all right? Doctors are salespeople. Mechanics are salespeople. Lawyers are salespeople. They're selling in the courtroom. They're selling to get their clients in the first place. I mean, that's just what they do. As a sale, all a sale is a transfer of enthusiasm, all right? It's presenting something in a way that the person buy. That's why the people say, I'm buying into you. If you're a teacher, well, you know, you have to sell your students on listening to you. All right? You ever see those teachers where, you know, all teachers have the same things. What is it, like if they have bad kids, like detention, okay, like go to the principal, like they have the same things. But some teachers, they say, you're getting detention, you're getting detention, and the kid's like, whatever, whatever. And other teachers are like, if you don't sit down, okay, you're got, and they're like, you don't even want to know. And they're like, all right, this teacher's a meanie, all right? So, and they've sold the students. They also have to call at home and sell the parents on, you know, hey, be on my side. You got to talk to parents and say, you know, it's not, you know, most parents think that, oh, the teacher of my child is horrible. The teachers have to be able to persuade the parent to say, look, your kid is having trouble. It's not me. It's your kid, and me and you need to work together versus the kid, not you and the kid, you know, yelling at me. All right. So, you know, these are sales skills. You have to get people to buy into. These are called communication skills, and you're not going to get these skills, guys. You know, and not to put down these jobs, but there's jobs that are not going to teach you anything. Working in a mall, working in a lifeguard, you know, working in these things, the Me Too jobs are not going to teach you how to handle objections. If you go on a job interview and it's like, I worked in the mall, you know, I've been to the mall before. You know, interviewers have been to the mall, and it's a job. It's a job. You make money, you know, and whatever. But you're not learning communication skills. You know, sir, may I help you? Is not a communication skill. Oh, can you talk about these pants? Oh, these pants are. They're nice. Okay, like that's not. They're blue. They're made. This is some company. You're not with our job. Yes, it's knives. But you are doing a presentation. When you sell something in our product, you made phone calls, you got recommendations, you followed up, you presented something, and you took somebody who had no interest at first. You took something who had no interest. They were just letting you come over, to spending $50, $80, $100, $200, $300, $800, $1,000, $2,000 on knives. Okay, so your resume will be superb. Okay, when you leave our company, all right, if you put the time and effort to learn these skills, and not only will your resume look good, but you can then go on a job interview and you can feel confident. All right, you're going to see a part here in a couple seconds here with. Anthony Robbins talking about confidence, and your confidence, trust me guys, your confidence will go so high when you're able to sit down with people and feel comfortable that I can sell them. And by the way, if you're going to go to a job interview, that's a sale. Okay, you're building value. The company, they're offering you $60,000 a year. That's what the job is. Okay, if they think you're only worth $30,000, they're not going to pay you. If they think you're right around $60,000, they're like, okay. And if you show them more value than $60,000, if you could sit on that interview and say, you're going to pay me $60, I'm going to take $60, but I'm going to bring $80,000 to $100,000 worth of value to this company, then what? Okay, I'm gonna take you in a heartbeat. And that's what you do in a job interview, and that's what you do every day with this presentation. You learn how to build rapport, get trust, and it's a skill, and you got to work on it. And it's not something you're born with, but every demo you do, you're going to get better and better and better at it, and you're going to overcome the fears. You're going to overcome the phone fears, the recommendations fears, the dealing with rejection fears, and some people never get over those things. So feel proud about yourself and work hard about it. All right.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it.
Yeah.
Period. It's that simple.
I know who I am, and I know what I believe.
I know who I am, I know what I believe.
That's all I need to know.
And that's all I need to know. So from there, you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what happens is we make the situation more complex than it has to be.
Because we're looking for complexity. There's got to be something complex to understand.
It can't be that easy.
No.
We didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. You know, we grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter because
we were becoming
something greater.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry, the way that you want. So
the only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die. It's really that simple.
One summer, his dad tore down a brick wall on the front of his business and told 12-year-old Will and his 9-year-old brother to rebuild it, a job they said was impossible. It took them a year and a half, but they did it.
And he said, now don't you ever tell me it's something that you can't do. You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day.
And soon you have a wall.
And soon you have a wall.